congestion is really a big problem, and all these are kept in the holding capacity meant for 10,600. It was even in West 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but after the completion of Luingu, the completion of Mwembeshi Maximum B, the completion of Monze, and the completion of Kalabo, the congestion levels, or should I say the holding capacity, improved a bit. That is the biggest headache, not only for government, for all of us, because you know airborne diseases, bloodborne diseases, and waterborne diseases like cholera thrives where there is congestion. And that is why I'm celebrating the participation at all levels of the detailed correctional and prisons audit, which was published, and that report has more than 259 recommendations. We have short-term, medium, and long-term. So this is part of the intervention you are doing for us to begin discussing this, so that other stakeholders may be interested in coming to the aid or to assist or to supplement government efforts in reducing congestion.
Sure. Serena, allow me. Doctor, you are an ex-convict.
Yes.
Yeah. And you interact closely with people that are, should I call them inmates?
Yes.
What is their mental status like? Because you're looking at mental health, and I know someone that is watching us is thinking when you say mental health, we're simply looking at people that have been, diagnosed with maybe anxiety, depression, and alike. We're simply looking at, when you say mental health, we're saying that the overall well-being of an individual, which could be physically, socially, and the like. So I would like to get your perspective on this one.
Slightly,
what is the mental status of the inmates?
Slightly improving. We are not yet there. Congestion itself creates that problem and adds to your mental health. If you talk about food, if you talk about where you will be, outside here, there is stigma, there is discrimination, there is also rejection. A good number, if not 3/4, I think even more than 3/4 of the female incarcerated people are divorced, because men do not wait for their spouses, and our women folk are better than ourselves. So you can see how disturbed they are mentally, and you are talking about someone who doesn't know how he will start or she will start her new life. So why I'm saying slightly improving is because of these benchmarks and foundations that are laid. For example, the old Prisons Act Cap 97, which are the terrible model, punitive model. The emphasis was actually punishing them, and this is why stigma and discrimination was even higher that time, has been reviewed, repealed, replaced with the Correctional Act. So if they worry for a mother with a child called known as circumstantial children, in the old law, there was no dietary scale provided in terms of food and special basic needs for those circumstantial children that are born and brought in prisons. The Correctional Act number 37 today, the one that is there with a new model, which is correctional model or social model, if you like, has the provision. So the Minister of Finance is providing now dietary scale or resources, money to feed that child that is born there. Why is that child there? It's because of the myths and beliefs that people do have. So we need such programs to demythologize the thinking of the people, that when you associate yourself with a mother incarcerated or expectant mother from prisons, that year your belly will not be productive. So you can say we are slightly improving, but we still have a lot of work, because this sector was ignored by many governments, successful governments from independence. Most of the correctional centers, or should I say all the major conventional correctional centers were left by our colonial masters. The governments were not paying attention. That area was rubbished. It is only now and recently that we have seen paying some attention by recruiting more officers so that service delivery is improved. And it is only now that we have seen human rights related programs, and that is why some of us are recognized by the very government, because earlier on it was very, very difficult. The only organizations that were allowed is actually churches, prisons, fellowship, and some churches preaching the word of God. But if you go there and you want to improve, for example, education, I spent my 4 years as a school teacher to improve the prison's informal education. Today, Zambia Correction Service is producing not less than 20 graduates from different universities, including this university. Because I remember and I know the university here, Creso and Go Center, we've worked with them for many years, University of Zambia. So this is the improvement I'm talking about. And if we continue like this, even with the new government that is there, and if they continue like this, probably we may see some improvement very soon. But I'm saying the picture is not yet rosy.
That's interesting, Dr. Malembeka. So on that very same note, you were recognized as a national human rights defender. Kudos to you for that. Honestly, really impressive work. We can tell that there's a lot of passion and it's not just a title.
Yeah.
But then when we speak about adequate health care, it's a human right.
Yes.
But then it really seems like mental health has not been fit into that definition of falling as a right, right? So what do you think is going to be done different to ensure that even as you have made these recommendations, you mentioned 259, if I'm not mistaken, recommendations. That's a lot, and I'm sure all good from the audit report, very backed by your findings. But then the question is, what is going to be done different? This audit report was from 2023, right? Last year, so what are we going to do different?
The first thing is the government needs to actualize that report. We do not want that report to gather dust. One of the recommendations I love is that the Zambian government, we've recommended in there, that needs to attend to the criminal justice system, or improving the criminal justice system. If you look at the infrastructure, we've been talking about infrastructure, dilapidated. And not only correctional centers, but also police. And if you look at judiciary as well, we have very few judges, and now we are happy that the new Dawn government has sent judges to all the 10 provinces. We have now done away with court circuiting, but there is no enough infrastructure in those provinces. What the judges that are sent to Northwestern, Luapula, Muchinga, Western Province, Eastern Province have done is to go and take over from the court and offices where the principal resident magistrates were sitting. So there is need for deliberately the Ministry of Finance and the Zambian government to support what the president has been singing or talking about by actualizing, operationalizing, and implementing these recommendations. They need, I saw a very good meeting yesterday by the European Union with the president. These are the discussions that we want. We want them to be talking about these so that we are able to advocate and find resources. We need the private sector to come on board. We need LAS to come on board by way of reducing that congestion. They promised to scale up the use of pro bono. It is still dying. The promise was that every private law firm shall represent one indigent or poor person. But this is not working well. It is not effective yet. We need the traditional leaders to come on board, and they have already started giving land. We are distributing land. We've given land to so many ex-prisoners, but they are saying we want to benefit from the social cash transfer, the constituency development fund, for us to use that land, because we need simple agricultural tools, we need seed, we need fertilizer. So we need the councils to come on board and emulate what traditional leaders are doing. So it's a pie that we can't leave with the Ministry of Home Affairs, with Zambia Correctional Service or government alone. And this is the reason why I insisted that, well, let me spend my remaining years before I retire just to talk and even to talk about hidden issues that are avoided by others. For example, sex issues. We started talking about all these issues that were shelved, and today things are working better than it used to be. So I am calling on everyone, including the media. You have done your part. And really, I want to thank you even once more, because it was very, very difficult. That was a closed nest, but today everyone is aware of what is going on.
Sure. Dr. Malembeka, I realize that, legal procedures is one of the reasons why we have a lot of people, or we have these prisons overpopulated. Sometimes the process is too cumbersome, and sometimes we tend to lose record. So I've been also hearing of the talks about introducing mobile courts.
Yeah.
How do you welcome that? I mean, how do you see that?
There was a delegation many years ago, about 15 years ago. We went to Malawi, and I was part of that team to go and watch what they call camp courts in Malawi. And this is where we are borrowing that. 2-3 days ago, I think there was some signing agreement between the donors and Zambia Correction Service. We welcome that. We need these mobile courts. You are right when you say that the legal processes are too slow in Zambia. There are a lot of pending judgments that are not pronounced. And it was even worse before decentralizing judiciary. But not only that, the use of non-custodial options in Zambia is very low. We've not seen enough of people receiving suspended sentences, receiving community sentences. Why don't we have all those people facing petty offenses go and sweep and clean this place? For example, you attach 3 of them to just clean this place, so that you use as clean as it is to inform the people, or sweep the streets of Lusaka, and probably we're not even going to have this cholera. So what you see are the well-to-do people, a few of them in pockets, receiving fines, receiving suspended sentences. So that's where the problem is. We need to control that appetite of relying on custodial.
I like the fact that you have mentioned, cholera, and cholera rather. And that is one, aspect that is worrying currently.
Yeah. Yes.
I say that because we've heard of some cases coming from prisons, and the description that has been given in the audit report is so scary. When you look at the state of the prisons, how these people are being kept, what they're eating, the environment they're living in, it's so scary and so worrying. And just on that one, what do you think could be the impact of cholera on the health and the mental health of the inmates?
I've not yet received the statistics, and after this discussion, I think I will be calling headquarters to get the statistics. But I watched the announcement from Minister of Health that yes, we have cases coming from prisons, and it's because of I talked about congestion. Congestion is actually a nursery for any blood-borne disease, and cholera is one. Yeah. So may I use this opportunity and thank you for asking this question. We have seen a contribution today from UN. $2.5 million, a lot of money. We saw the other contribution from European Union giving UNICEF 43 million. We saw some Bowsers and the water tanks contributed or donated to the Zambian government by the Chinese. We want to see some of these water tanks mounted at those correctional centers. We want to be part of the money we have seen today, 2.5. We are experts in sensitization and awareness campaigns. We've just finished one huge sensitization with funding from PEPFAR. And this we've been doing for more than 20 years. This idea of working alone will not save Zambia. There are certain things that can be done better by CSOs and certain things that can be done better by government. A combination will always be the best. So can we see and receive enough support from DMMU? It is cheaper to prevent cholera and cost effective than treating it in congested places like correctional centers, police stations, and the judiciary as well. So let's work together. This is the time that we need to share the roles.
Sure. Serena, I know you have a question, but before that, to the person that is watching us, here on LITOVIA television, you can be part of this conversation by simply texting or calling the number that is showing on the screen. And you can also follow us on our Facebook, page, which is check-in TV show and be able to contribute from there. You can ask your questions, but for now, of course, I would allow Serena to ask that question that you've been feeling inside, like you want to ask it. Yeah.
Definitely. We are in the dying minutes of the program, unfortunately, and I really love what Dr. Malembeka is sharing with us today. But in the interest of time, Dr. Malembeka, I would like to believe, and I know, that the purpose of correctional facilities and prisons is for reformation, among other things, of course. You take someone into prisons, take someone into a correctional facilities that they can come out a better person for society. But then looking at the state of the prisons, even during times of outbreaks, even for the sake of their mental health of inmates, right? Do you really feel that it's something that is adequate enough to reform a person, or do you feel it's actually breaking down people? Because we see so many people get into prison, they get out, and they're back in prison within a few months' time.
It's a good start. I will call it a good start. And if you look at what this government has done by reviewing and changing the law, by abolishing death penalty, by decentralizing judiciary, by recruiting more officers, by rehabilitating the current infrastructure, by procuring and distributing mattresses, bunker beds, and blankets. What is required is to improve the infrastructure so that they enjoy those things. Now, what I'm saying is the major problem for me, for this country, has been failure by government and all of us. Failure of coming up with an effective and workable community re-entry and reintegration strategy. There are thousands of ex-prisoners that are out there, but because of poor reception, they fail to find their second life. We need to find better ways of receiving, empowering, corrected people. Otherwise, if government will be in the forefront of refusing to employ people who are progressive, coming out with degrees, then what will happen to the private sector? How will Litovia accept an ex-prisoner like myself if the father and the mother, government itself, is saying we can't allow ex-prisoners to sit on the government commissions? So it should start with the government itself, to open the doors further, to make sure deliberately that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development deliberately funds some national arrangements to help ex-prisoners. We are ready to cluster them, and we are busy clustering them in all the 10 provinces to form cooperatives. Yeah. Give them the money from the Constituency Development Fund. They will never come back because they are qualified, they have skills.
Definitely.
Prisk has given them skills. Teveta is doing that. Academic levels are also taking place in prisons. What is lacking is blood. And that blood is resources from our own scheme, including CEC, the social cash transfer. Why can't they give those, the aged and pardoned mother with a baby can't access social cash transfer? Where are we going?
Yeah, unfortunately, we are about to close the program.
Thank you.
But we would love, to call you back on this particular platform so we can have more conversations around this. But even as we close the show, I would like to find out from you and ask this pertinent question to me and also to the viewers. You as an ex-convict, how was it for you to, come back and just, live a normal life in the community? Because I realized that there's a lot of stigma towards ex-convict, and that also, plays a bigger role on their mental health.
Yeah.
So maybe just under, 30 seconds, I would like you to just explain how you, integrated in the community and how you were welcomed and how your mental health was on that particular.
If you fail to accept that I'm not the first one, I'm not the last one, and that I will go out one day, you will not make it. I went there. The first qualifications I have is actually theology. I've specialized in eschatology and pneumatology. So I went there as a church leader, and resilience helped me. I said, well, I've been sent here on opinion. I was sent on opinion, where the judge says, I've not found you with the case to answer. And my wife even celebrated. She was almost also thrown in because she thought the next pronouncement will be, you are acquitted. Yeah. But the next was, however, somehow you aided cleverly, and I'm still sending you for 4 years. So I told myself, I'm innocently here. God, use me. The day I came from prison after 4 years, I did not spend my night at home. I spent it at my church, where I've spent my 41 years, Chilenje Evangelical Church. The whole night I was telling my God, find me something to do. Here is the organization. I want you to help me go back and help the people. I do not want any work. And here I am, and I'm so thankful that the government is also appreciating, even by appointing us as national human rights defenders.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love your questions.
Wow.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. It has been a great conversation, and I know, Serena, you're still itching to ask those questions
We could
because
definitely go on and on,
Yeah,
honestly. This
it's-
needs a part 2, Dr. Malembeka. I think we will be having you in the studio again. But for today, we do have to close out, and once more, a pre-birthday to you. Wishing you a pre-happy birthday.
Thank you so
as you
much.
celebrate your
I will be
birthday
born tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank
Amazing.
you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for being part of this program. I know your watching is basically a bigger thing that we need from you, and more so your contribution. You can be part of the conversation even off this program. Just go on our Facebook page, be able to comment and give us those contributions. Yeah, I have been your host, Blessings KN, and of course, I don't walk alone. I was with my co-host, Serena Mwale. But as I always say, it is not $1 million, question, but $1 million voice. We are out.
Great questions.